Hi, Amy of Fashion Toppings here, and I'm doing a refashion. I kind of labeled this dress, and my husband agrees, the world's ugliest dress. But there's a lot going on here. Look at all of that. I am going to have so much fun tearing this puppy apart. I mean, there is like layers and layers. Look at this of chiffon. It's crazy. And so this is kind of going to be, I'm going to videotape this over 2 days, but it'll be one video. So don't worry. When I say, 2 days, I'm going to get it all in one video. But I have no idea what this looks like underneath because these are actually sewn right to the dress, all these layers. So I need to take these layers off to see what I have to work with. But I want to be able to save as much of this chiffon as I can because I don't know if I'm going to make a peplum, waistband, or if I'm going to put maybe a little ruffle at the bottom, or if I'm going to take it all off and use it for another project. I don't know. So first thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to pretty much deconstruct the dress, see what I want to do with it, and then take some time to look at it. If I decide right away what I want to do, I'm going to jump right on it. But if I'm just not quite sure, then I'm going to just take 24 hours to think about it and keep looking at it. And my hair's in my way. And just keep thinking about it and look on Pinterest and try to get some ideas until I finally make the final refashioning of this dress. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I'm going to cut this chiffon off. So since it's in the seams and there's a zipper down the back, there's a full zipper down the back, I don't want to tear the seams apart just yet. Not until I decide what I'm going to do. So I'm going to cut this chiffon. I'm going to find where it joins onto the dress. And I'm going to cut it close to the seams without cutting the dress itself. I mean, it's beautiful fabric. It's a stretch fabric, really stretchy, so I can do a lot of things with this. But look at the size of the armholes. This is going to take some alterations. So I'm just going to keep cutting as close as I can to the seam line without cutting the fabric underneath. Looks much better. So the next thing I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and just cut this neckline off because I know I'm not going to keep a high neckline. I'm going to probably V-neck it, make this more of a springy type dress. And so I'm just going to cut the neckline off just so I have a better visual of what's going on. So I'm just going to cut right along the seam where it connects to the dress. Not worrying about neatness because I'm going to do something different with this neckline, I'm sure. I don't really particularly care for the high neckline. Okay, now the neckline's off. Now we get to start having fun. I'm going to turn it inside out. So, first thing we're going to want to do is, got to get my pins. I don't use my magnet anymore after I blew up my hard drive. We are going to do the pinch and pin method like I've shown you in many of my videos, but I'm going to keep my side seam. I got the mannequin, so I'm following my side seam. I'm keeping the side seam, and I'm shrinking it in. I'm doing a little bit at a time, making sure that I'm taking as much from the back as I am from the front so that my side seam stays straight, perpendicular with the floor. And when you get pretty close to the size that you want, it doesn't have to be perfect, put a basting stitch in. A basting stitch is the longest stitch setting on your sewing machine. Like a 5, I think. My sewing machine, I just click on basting stitch and it does it for me. Okay. Now, remember how wide these armpits are? I'm going to go ahead and pin. I'm taking the armpit. See how much extra material I have? I'm just pinning. I'm going to join up this hem with this hem so that they're nice and straight, and pin them so that your underarm seam matches nice and neat. There. so that they stay together. Okay, so I pinned in a tighter silhouette on both sides. Now I need to figure out what I'm going to do with this neckline. I have this funky seam, which is going to keep me from being able to go too low with my neckline. This is what I got to think about for a little bit. Okay, as I'm looking at the dress, trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the neckline, all this extra facing that was up here along the neckline, I just took a scissors and just cut it right off. I don't care how rough my edge is now along this neckline right here, because I'm going to do something with it. So I just went ahead and cut off what was the interfacing and the top seam that was underneath the collar. I just cut it right off along with the price tag. Okay, but as I was cutting, I noticed I'm going to have to remove the zipper anyway because of the fact if I'm going to keep the zipper, that means my neckline is going to have to be a high neckline, and which is fine. You know, if I didn't have the seam going across the front, I would leave the zipper in and I would just cut the front of the dress to be more of a V-neck. But I can't because I have the seam going right across the front of my dress. So that's why I never have a plan when I first start doing a refashioning. I might have an idea, but never a plan, because you never know what you're going to get into when you're tearing something apart. Like this seam right here. I know I have to keep that, or I want to keep that, because it has changed the floral print on the other side of the fabric. And the more I cut, the more chances I take of making a mistake. And I always try to lean towards the way of least chance of error. Okay, so, and when I was taking off the collar, this zipper goes all the way up to the collar. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go right along my zipper. And I haven't decided if I'm going to put the zipper back in yet or not, because this fabric is it's a stretch jersey knit. So I won't need a zipper. The only reason they had a zipper in was because all that chiffon did not stretch, and they had to have a way to get into the dress with the chiffon that was laced all over it, because chiffon doesn't stretch. And the chiffon was actually attached right to the zipper. So this zipper didn't really have a true purpose, so we're going to just get rid of it. And don't throw away your zippers. They're like $5 a piece. I will keep this zipper, especially since it's a long zipper. I don't have a lot of long zippers. I still have that one left over from that prom dress, but I will put this in my scrap bin. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep removing the stitches all the way down, and then it's going to be easy. I'm just going to pinch and pin a new seam down the back. So, okay, I'm going to keep taking the zipper off, and then I'll be right back. I got the zipper out of the back. You can tell it was a long zipper. Look at that. So I'm definitely going to hold on to that for another project. So now is the time I'm going to play with it. First of all, I'm going to repin, and this is easy because there's already a seam line. That seam that was below the zipper, I'm just going to continue that seam straight up. I'm just going to follow the seam, making sure I'm taking the same amount of material on both sides as I squeeze it. So I repinned the back. As you can see, all my pins. Where the zipper was, I took the zipper out and just pinned it back shut, because I'm going to not need it to put a zipper in. Now I didn't pin all the way up because I haven't decided yet. Hi, Chance. My other dog's in here visiting. I didn't pin it all the way up because I wanted to be able to mess with the neckline. And one thing I was thinking that might be kind of different, and I haven't really seen it, so I don't know how it's going to turn out. But since I already have the direction of this dress going this way, why not have my neckline also follow at an angle and then cut back up? So it's kind of like an off-center neckline. I thought that'd be kind of different. Then it's following, it makes it seem like this is here for a reason. I'm going to match the neckline, I think, with that line. So just continue like this and then have it go back up. Something different. I mean, so even if I mess it up, then look I have a whole bunch of scrap material. I can make something else out of it. So I'm thinking that's what I'm going to do, is follow my neckline and then come back up. Ouch, I have a pin in there. Forgot, I have pins in there holding my dress on so it doesn't fall off. That hurt. Okay, so I'm going to cut my neckline, and I'm going to follow an inch away from that seam, this seam right here. An inch away. And let's just see what we end up with. So let me cut this real quick. Okay, well now I got my side seams basted in, and it fits the way I want it, because one thing I'm going to be wanting to do, my armpits, I'm going to have to shrink up the holes on those. One thing I want to be able to do is wear a belt. I don't want to do an elastic waist. I want to be able to switch out belts. So I want to be able to use a little thin skinny belt to add a pop of color. So I'm planning on wanting it a little blousey so that I can wear a belt with it. So to look more like that. So I'm okay with how much I've taken in so far. I'm taking in almost 4 inches, I guess. And so I'm going to go ahead and make those stitches permanent. So I'm going to do a straight stitch right next to my basting stitch, because I don't want to sew right on my basting stitch, because I want to be able to remove that. So I'm going to sew right next to it, close enough, but without actually going on top of my basting stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And I put a hat on because I had to leave, pick up my kids from school, and then come back, and I was sitting out in the sun. So I put the hat on just because of previous videos. You know, I had precancerous cells on my face, so I'm trying to stay out of the sun. So I put a hat on. Now I have hat head, now I got to keep it on. Now, because I want to do something completely different, I'm actually volunteering at my kids' school Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. I only have one day to work on this, one more day. So I'm going to set this aside and just look at it and take a couple hour break, hours to think about it, come back and have a fresh eye to look at it, because I want to do something different. I would like to incorporate the chiffon. So I'm going to play with it. Maybe like now, maybe I'll turn it inside right, and maybe I'll think about putting the chiffon at an angle and make it a sleeveless dress, and just having the one ruffle going across the chest at an angle. Maybe I will put a peplum around the waist. I'm going to pin this stuff on, pin it on, wait an hour, come back, look at it, see if I like it. If I don't like it, then do something different. And I'm going to do that between now and my next free day, where I'm able to actually tackle finishing the dress. I'm going to keep pinning different options, not making any cuts, because now that I made this cut, I kind of regret it, because now I'm kind of stuck with what kind of necklines I'm going to be using now, because I got too anxious. So I'm just going to do a couple options, walk away from it, come back, look at it, and then have a fresh eye and decide, ooh, I don't like that, or yeah, let's go with it. So that's what I'm doing for this refashioning. So I will be back after I've had a few days to look at this, decide what I want to do with it, and then I'm going to finish it up. Okay, here we go. I'm back. It's been a couple days. What I did is I played with it for a couple days, laid the chiffon all over it, pinned it, walked away, took pictures of it, and when I came back, I ended up posting several different neckline options, and I posted it on my Facebook page for Fashion Toppings, and I wanted to see what you thought of what I should do with this neckline. And I had more people liking the idea of staying with this off-the-center, unusual neckline. That ended up being more people like that than all the other options. I'm going to go ahead and post the pictures and let you see the options of what people got to choose from. The one that had more positive comments was this neckline. So I am staying with this neckline, and I'm going to trim it with double fold, narrow black bias tape, so that I don't have to worry about any hemming, rolling of material. This material doesn't fray because it's a stretch jersey knit. So I'm just going to trim that neckline with black double fold bias tape. So that's what I'm going to do with the neckline, and then I'm going to cut it off, and I'll be done. And I'll just put a double rolled hem at the bottom. Maybe if I have enough bias tape left over, maybe I'll trim the bottom with bias tape as well and just make it a very easy finish for this project. So all I've done since I started this video was I did go back. I told you that the dress was made kind of cheap. So I went and serged all of my sides. I serged them so that I would have nice strong side seams. But I couldn't serge this. So this is being left alone how the original person made the dress. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing is we need our bias tape, and I have an entire new roll of this bias tape. It's not the satiny, that I wish I had, but I don't like to go out and buy new stuff. And this works good. It looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. So now we are going to turn our dress inside right, because we're going to work from the right side since we're just using the double fold bias tape. This is so easy. Okay, first thing we need to determine is how long we need our bias tape to be. So I'm going to lay it on the shoulder seam. I'm going to lay it, follow my edges. Okay, so I wrapped it all the way around, and I'm going to give it a good extra inch. Okay, I laid it my tape, I laid it all the way around. Was a little bit generous, making it a little bit bigger, and I added an inch. Just in case I make a mistake. I can always cut it off. Okay, so I'm going to show you, instead of showing you on the dress, because you're not going to be able to see it, because I'm going to make it as invisible as possible, using the same thread, same colored ribbon. So I took a scrap piece that's left over from the curtains I made for Diva Boutique's dressing room. And I have some pink double fold bias tape, and it's the narrow. See how skinny it is? So I'll be using black, of course. So what you're going to do is you're going to open it up. You have two nicely folded edges on each side. Where the two meet in the middle, see where it meets in the middle? You're going to sandwich that. So pretend this is the shape of the neckline. You're going to sandwich your material in between your raw edge. Instead of doing a double fold hem, we're just going to sandwich it in between. And then we're going to sew a straight stitch, and that will give you a finished edge. And as far as the corner down here, I will show you how to do that when we get to the sewing machine. Okay, this is my third attempt to record the neckline. My video camera and my computer won't see each other, so I got to do it on the computer, so I apologize. So we take our bias tape, fold it over our raw edge, put it under our foot, so that I put the needle down to hold it in place. There we go. Okay, now sandwich that bias tape, sandwich it around our raw edge, and sew a straight stitch, capturing all the front and the back. And keep making sure that your fabric is staying sandwiched all the way inside there. Just hold it into place. Okay, we're gonna get to the curve here. So I'm gonna put my finger, sandwich it in between, and put my finger where my curve is, so I know where I'm at. Okay, now that I'm getting to my curve, sandwich the material inside, and then here's the trick. We're going to push our material around. So now we have a straight line. So we're just sewing in a straight line. Okay. So that's all there is to it. So we sandwiched the raw edge between the bias tape, and then we sewed a straight line. And as soon as we got to the curve, so we have our curve right there. As soon as we got to the curve, we just straightened out the fabric and continued to sew. So we do that all the way around the entire neckline, and then when we get to the end, all you do is sandwich the end of your bias tape, sandwich it, because it's going to be at the back of your neckline. Sandwich it and continue to sew. So you'll have a finished circle all the way around. So that's how I did the neckline. I apologize that I did not get to show you on the actual dress because of the fact that my video camera, for some reason, won't download to my computer again. Has something to do with the SD cards. So we had the corner. We just straightened it out and sewed straight, making sure that we captured all of the material. And then you can iron it, and it'll make it look nice and neat. Granted, you will use thread that's the same color as your bias tape, so you won't be able to see it. So that's how I did the curve on my neckline. Well, the neckline's done. Let me show it close up. So now you can see, it has to be ironed yet, but you can see the bias tape trimming all of my raw edges. And what's nice about the bias tape is that you can cut any type of neckline you want as long as you're able to sew that bias tape around it. You don't have to worry about the quality of your hemming skills. You can just hide it all with the bias tape. And so I like how the neck turned out. And then just going to belt it. And I'm going to go ahead, so this video doesn't get too long. You've all seen me hem the bottom of a skirt. So I'm going to cut it, lay it on the floor, cut it off at my desired length, and I'm just going to do a double rolled hem. So you take your material, you fold it towards the wrong side of the fabric once, fold it again, and put a straight stitch right through it, and you do that all the way to the bottom of your dress. And I've done that so many times in my videos, so I'm not going to add that to the end of this video, but I'm going to go ahead and take pictures of how the dress turns out, and then we're done. So this seemed to be a lengthy project since I took so many days to do it. So, but this is definitely something that I can wear now. After I've worn it a few times, then it gets redonated back so that someone else can enjoy it. So, well, this is Amy with Fashion Toppings. Until next time, you have a great day.